Just double check, we're all here. Okay. So Jim, you can start recording, or Chris?
You're all set.
Okay, thank you. We are returning from executive session. It is 6:41 p.m. I need a motion to open the public session.
This is Glenn. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Glenn. And a second, please.
This is Scott. I make second.
Okay, thank you. And we'll just go through. Sorry. All those in favor of opening the public session, Carrie Cunningham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner,
Yes.
Glenn Niles,
Yes.
Scott Seaman,
Yes.
and myself, Sonia Masika, yes. We are open. We are now back in open session. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So now we move on to the administrative remarks for the evening. And Dr. Gosh, would you like to start us off?
I would love to. Thank you. I know that we have a very full agenda, so my comments will be brief. First off, a huge congratulations to the teachers, social worker, and teaching assistant who are earning tenure tonight. I've been able to see you in action and work with you through our new educator meetings or various committee groups. We're lucky to have you. Thank you for all that you have done for our students, and thank you for all that you will continue to do for our learning community in the years to come. And to our retirees, it's bittersweet. While you're leaving us, you're off to the next phase of your lives and your next set of adventures. Thank you for the countless hours of heartfelt support and care that you have given to your hundreds of students over the years. And please know that the sharing of your expertise and wisdom is not exclusive to just students. Through your committee work, your collaborative and collegial conversations, and by the way that you have comported yourself with class and dignity, those lessons stay with all of us. So many of you have broadened my perspective and honestly have made me a better educator. So thank you for all that you have given to me personally, and to all of Brewster for the lessons that will continue to live on and resonate with us. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Harrington?
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Dr. Gosh is always a tough act to follow, but certainly in a similar vein. This evening, we do have the pleasure of celebrating two significant milestones in an educator's career: tenure and retirement. And while our building principals will be speaking in depth on behalf of each retiree and tenured staff member, I would like to extend the district's congratulations to both our retirees for their many years of service to the Brewster community, as well as those being recommended for tenure this evening. As we know, tenure recommendations are arguably the most important decisions a district makes regarding its employees, as it has the most profound impact on students for many years to come. This evening's recommendations for tenure reflect a commitment between the district and the teacher in recognizing the high expectations for teaching and learning, and the impact a teacher's work has on the lives of students for many years to come. While this evening's tenure recommendations mark a milestone or a hallmark in an educator's career, it also reflects the greatest commitment a district makes toward a teacher. And I think symbolic of the full circle of an educator's career, it seems only appropriate to recognize our tenure recommendations along with celebrating our retirees this evening. Those retiring from the district, tenured teachers, have maintained a high standard of excellence and a positive impact on the lives of generations of students at Brewster. Indeed, our celebration of their exemplary careers and their service should serve as a model and a reminder of the continued expectations our district holds for those being recommended for tenure this evening. Simply a heartfelt thank you to our retirees and a sincere congratulations to those being recommended for tenure this evening. Finally, while our building principals will be formally recognizing our individual retirees, we would be remiss in neglecting to mention other employees who will be retiring from the district with long-standing service to the community. As the board is aware, Ms. Susan Gavin, our confidential secretary to Dr. Banlow, along with Megan Schacht, our senior clerk in our food services department, will be retiring effective July 1 of this school year, 2020. The district would like to extend a heartfelt congratulations To others as well, monitor Madeline Sorrell, bus driver Vicky Gillette, clerical aide Mary Lou Isek, and lead mechanic Nicholas Savona. While Dr. Bandela will be sharing some words on Susan Gavin's behalf, I'd like to just take a moment and briefly acknowledge Meg Schacht's service to the district and congratulate her on her retirement. Ms. Schacht has worked for the district for more than 25 years, serving as the senior clerk in the food services department, most recently under the direction of Kathy Hancock, our director of food services. Ms. Hancock has described Meg as an invaluable asset to the department with a superior work ethic. Ms. Schacht has seamlessly managed the large to provide for free and reduced lunch, along with generating a weekly report that must be submitted to state ed regarding food services. She has demonstrated a loyalty and commitment to the district that has helped to ensure our students receive the necessary meals and proper nutrition, which of course are critical to a school's health and the ability of its students to access learning. Since school's closing, Meg has been a weekly presence each Monday during the weekly food distribution to our families. I've had the pleasure of watching Meg in action each Monday as she's been at the forefront of the circle, greeting each incoming car and taking down each name to help ensure that Brewster's children on free and reduced lunch obtain their weekly provision of milk and food. While Meg is retiring, the district is presently in the midst of hiring her replacement. We look forward to her coming back periodically to help train her replacement and support a smooth transition. On behalf of Kathy Hancock, our food services director, Jean Dohan, our assistant food services director in the district, we certainly want to thank her for her years of service and commitment and wish her much joy and good health in her retirement. So with that, congratulations, and that concludes my comments for this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson?
Now, that's even more difficult to follow than Dr. Gosh. And I'm not going to be able to one-up him, but I certainly want to extend my gratitude to the community for supporting our schools and our school children in passing the budget and Proposition number 2 for our bus purchases. So a huge thank you to our community. And I also want to acknowledge and congratulate Ms. Horler and the high school administration for putting on an incredible graduation ceremony, certainly one for the ages and one that's been discussed throughout the region. So congratulations to you. You should be very proud of your accomplishment, as should the tenure folks and our retirees. So congratulations to all. And that concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Banlow?
Okay, thank you, Sonia. Good evening, members of the Board of Education. I'm going to keep my comments pretty brief because we have a very special evening tonight where we're going to be honoring, as you know, our folks who have earned tenure and also our retirees. So we're going to be getting to that pretty shortly. But I just want to thank the community as well for the astounding passage of the budget. We really appreciate everybody's support. And I want to thank the Board of Education for supporting such an incredible class of 2020 graduation ceremony. The board had a big part in that, as well as the class of 2020 graduation committee. And a big thank you to all of our staff that were out there, that put that special evening together for everybody. We got the approval for the fireworks the day before the graduation, so we were just thrilled. So thank you, a big thank you to everybody. We do have our Building Our Future in Person public forum, so please make sure that if you can get on to the website and register for the public forum. That will be this Thursday at 5 o'clock and also Saturday at 9 a.m. We do need you to register because we have to maintain social distancing as per the governor's executive order. So we're looking forward to some folks coming out, and we're looking forward to listening and learning from all of you. So thank you for those of you that signed up already. So that concludes my comments tonight.
Thank you. Okay, I'm up next. So also wanted to say thank you for everyone who put together the graduation. It was phenomenal. We've gotten great, feedback from parents and students, and also for what's been done for all the students in the district and the different moving up ceremonies and the different parades. And it's just so great to see our community come together and support our students and lift them up in times like this. So it's just so great to see. So thank you as well to everyone. And congratulations to all the retirees this evening. I'm looking forward to hearing all the great things later in the presentations. And regarding the form, I just want to add, so to everyone who is on right now, please, help us get the word out. This Thursday and Saturday, as Dr. Banlow mentioned, It's our, first go around. We'll see what we need to do next, but there's definitely a lot of work that we'll be doing going forward. But these forums, they're in direct response to a need that's in our community for our community members to feel heard. Whoever you are, whatever your opinions, we want to give opportunities for everyone to come and have an exchange. I know at board meetings it's limited, so this will be an opportunity to do that. So please do help us get the word out. It's really important. People come out for different reasons at different times, but this is authentically an opportunity for people to have a say in their school community. So we're really looking forward to this. And lastly, I just want to add that as was mentioned, we went into executive session earlier. So I will be discussing in our board comments later this evening. I'm holding them off till the end because we have so many great things to go over right now, but I will address the recent vacant board seat and how we will be going forward with that. So that'll be coming up later at the second round of board comments later in the agenda. So that's it for my comments. And in terms of our student representative, Aaron Lauren, he actually emailed me. He is out of town with not a great signal. So he just wanted me to share, pass along his immense gratitude with the district for a phenomenally memorable graduation, quote. So that was all. He was just super thrilled and wanted me to share on his behalf his thanks as well. Okay, so that's it for our opening, and we will move on now to our presentation of the Superintendent's Award of Tenure and those recommendations for tenure. So Dr. Banlow and administrators, you're up.
Okay, so I get the distinct honor of starting us off this evening, and a big congratulations to our folks that have worked so hard to earn tenure. Tenure is a huge deal. Our teachers, our staff work very, very hard. They're observed by numerous people throughout their career. And tonight is our great honor and to start this off this evening. So we're hoping some family members are listening in as we honor our tenure people first. Here we go. So if you can go to the first slide. All right, I know you know that face. I know that face. So Dr. Gosh. Dr. Gosh is completing her 19th year in Brewster, having previously served as a high school social studies teacher, high school assistant principal, middle school principal, and now assistant superintendent. Some highlights of her assistant superintendency in Brewster include collaborative selection of a K-5 math program and word study program after deliberate and thoughtful process, continual improvements and adjustments to our English as a new language program, including the formation of a bilingual vision team who made the first recommendations for next year in the form of a long-term plan. She also led an examination of our K-12 science program, which resulted in the addition of teaching positions, assured lab time, and improved curricular offerings at Brewster High School. Dr. Gosh restructured the way in which professional learning opportunities were developed and implemented in Brewster, including the inquiry strand model in which teacher choice and interests are included in the design and selection phase. In 1920, she worked with a group of teachers and administrators to redesign the K-5 report card. No easy feat. Also, an improved support structure for educators was created with Dr. Gosh for new Brewster educators, guaranteeing contact time and open communication between the district office and probationary teachers. It has been my great honor and privilege to work alongside Dr. Gosh, not only to get to know her as an incredible human being, but as a fine, outstanding educator. So Dr. Gosh, on behalf of the Brewster Central School District, huge congratulations. We are just thrilled to have you here. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move into JFK. Dr. Zamberlin.
Thank you, Dr. Banlow. We're celebrating here at JFK Ann Burns and Jennifer Hirschman. And when Dr. Gosh mentioned that we become better people because of these new hires, we had a happy hour last Friday with our entire faculty. And that was the common theme when we spoke about both Ann and Jennifer, that we become not only better teachers, but better people because of what they have brought to JFK. One thing that should be noted about both of them, they took the long path to tenure. And when I say that, when we say tenure, it usually is a 3 or 4 year pathway in a district, and you go through these observation processes and so on. Anne and Jennifer have taken leave replacements. They've been subs in the district, and that goes way beyond the 4 years. They've been around, and they've really earned the tenure that they're being granted tonight. So again, they took the long path, and they've enriched all of our lives to be better people. So congratulations to Anne and Jennifer.
Okay, so Mrs. Andriello for CV Star.
Good evening and thank you. It is an absolute honor to talk about our tenure candidates for tonight. CV Star has the privilege of welcoming 5 newly tenured teachers and a teaching assistant to our team. Ms. Jerry Dolan is a teaching assistant in our building. She works with a number of students. She is someone who routinely goes above and beyond what is asked and what is needed. She has more than earned the respect of her colleagues and is truly just an asset to have on our staff. Ms. Gilmartin, who is earning tenure tonight in special education, currently works as part of an ICT team with another one of our tenure recipients, Ms. Tangretti. And Ms. Gilmartin has established herself very quickly as a leader within our building. She works with our Wilson morning reading program. She is a leader with our STEAM initiatives in the building itself. Everyone just loves to work with Ms. Gilmartin. She brings a lot to the table, and we are just thrilled to have her in our building. Ms. Godino is earning tenure in the area of TESOL. She is one of our teachers to speakers of a language other than English. She has been very active on a number of committees in the district, most notably the bilingual vision team this year. And Ms. Godino, along with our other ENL teachers, worked during this past school year to really establish a program tailored for our children who are new to the United States and to focus on the needs that they have as learners. And as a personal anecdote, I had the pleasure of co-teaching with Ms. Godino for a number of years, and I am just absolutely thrilled that she is receiving tenure tonight. Mr. Sanishin is receiving tenure in music. He is our band teacher, and he is also the marching band director for Brewster High School, as well as the orchestra director for the middle school show. He is someone who goes above and beyond. He isn't just a band teacher. He serves on a number of committees throughout the building, and he is someone the kids just absolutely love to be with. And through his leadership, we have really increased the number of children who participate in band. We're a little sad because he'll be leaving us for Brewster High School next year, but we know that our paths will cross again, and we are absolutely thrilled that Mr. Sanishin is receiving tenure. Ms. Tangretti is receiving tenure in elementary education. She is one of our 5th grade teachers and the other half of the co-taught team with Ms. Gilmartin. Ms. Tangretti has always gone above and beyond. She just dove right into being a part of CV Star. She leads our STEAM work and a number of after-school clubs. She is someone that if you give her a task or you make a suggestion, she will run with it and do absolutely wonderful things. And we are just absolutely thrilled to have her in our building as well. So congratulations to the CV Star team receiving tenure tonight. It is an honor to work with you.
So our next crew is going to be Wells Middle School, and Mr. Clark, our principal, is attending his daughter's graduation this evening. So with us is our vice principal, Mrs. Hernandez.
Thank you, Dr. Banlow, and good evening, everyone. It's with honor that I get to congratulate Mr. Jonathan Bloom on his tenure tonight on behalf of Principal Clark and I and our Wells Middle School staff. Although not a Brewster graduate, he did attend H.H. Wells Middle School, just a little fun fact there. Both of John's parents are retired Brewster teachers, They're pretty famous here in this district. John taught for 8 years down in the Bronx at PS 188 before coming to Brewster. Jonathan is a proud Fordham Ram and did his graduate studies at Pace University after joining the Teaching Fellows program down in New York City. He recently moved to Mayapack, where he and his wife are currently raising their 2 children, Joey and Lauren. John is one of the most kindest patient teachers that I've ever met. He currently works within a small class setting in 6th grade, meeting the needs of students with different abilities, and we are very proud that John is receiving his tenure tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least is our Brewster High School, Miss Worler. Okay, so we have our Brewster High School tenure appointments. Miss Horler, are you there?
We see her, but we can't hear her.
I don't know. I think she's trying. Jim, can you go to the next slide? Maybe we can see it. Okay.
Nikki, if you'd like, yeah, I'd be happy to speak about Mrs. Alvarez.
Thank you, Dr. Gosh.
Nikki, you can jump in the chat or text me anything I forget. So Mrs. Alvarez currently serves as our mental health counselor at Brewster High School. She is an outstanding social worker. She came to us at CV Star and then transferred over to the high school. And when she actually came to the high school, we had experienced an awful tragedy. And in her first week, it was evident not just how skilled she was, but how integral she is to the support system at Brewster High School. Ms. Alvarez is someone who's both smart and wise. We love having her on committees and task forces because she really, just is able to give feedback that cuts right through the nonsense and gets to recommendations that are best for kids. She's already in her short time here made strong connections with various community groups. And she also works with our Seal of Biliteracy Committee and is just in her, you would think looking at her resume and what she's done here, she's been here for 20 years, but we hope to have her for another we hope to have her for 20 more because she is just phenomenal and we wholeheartedly recommend her. Okay, Miss Egan is a special educator at the high school. She works in a variety of self-contained and co-taught classes. Miss Egan, in addition to really knowing the learning needs of her students and designing instruction to meet those needs, she also has become fully integrated into the co-curricular community. She has stepped up and assisted with Special Olympics. She also serves as a track coach. And I see here that she has worked with Salty Hands, which is one of our clubs that is most responsible for, the largest fundraising polls or gains throughout the year. So, the rapport that Ms. Egan has with her students and her colleagues is exceptional, and we enthusiastically recommend her for tenure. All right, Coach Fratto. Coach Fratto teaches both health and PE at Brewster High School, and this year he has been involved with adaptive PE as well. Coach Fratto really exudes Brewster pride. He is able to do school-wide events. I think it's listed here, the volleyball tournament, which is a great morale boost when we have the student-faculty game. He also coaches, I believe, 3 seasons. And he is a member of the 2023 group, which was exciting for us because if we think about, revisiting Brewster High School and where we want to be, Coach Fratto is someone who comes to us with, varied experience and his perspective in sort of shaping the high school is, a key voice. So Congratulations, Coach Fratto, and thanks for all you've done.
Okay. So members of the board, this evening we're going to be, it's our first action item. We'll be presenting these outstanding educators to you this evening to hopefully award them tenure. So congratulations to all those folks. So now we're gonna, and I have to say, Coach Fratto taught me all about a pickle, the game of pickle. So he was awesome. All right, I just had to throw that in. All right, so district office retirement. So we do have several retirees this year. So we're gonna start off with our first with Susan Gavin. Susan began in the Brewster Central School District back in January 1998. She has held several positions and has worked for many administrators since starting as a secretary in the special education department for Kathleen Evans. She then moved on to become secretary to the Wells Middle School principal, Dr. Joanne Januzzi. She advanced to confidential secretary in the personnel department for assistant superintendents Mike Jumper and Deborah Gregory, as well as Kieran Stack. She also had the pleasure of working with the following superintendents: Dr. Mark S. Lewis, Dr. Joseph Sabadella, Dr. Jane Sandbach, Dr. Timothy Conway, Dr. Valerie Hennig Piedmont, and Dr. Lori Banlow. In addition, she worked beside many dedicated trustees as an assistant district clerk for the Board of Education and has done an outstanding job. And then the full-time clerk she began in 2010. Susan will miss listening to the students through the open office windows when they are laughing and enjoying life during recess, sports, and activities. It made her smile and reminded her of what we're here for and who we're working for. So of course, all of us will miss her, and she will miss many people that she's worked with and interacted with and laughed with on a daily basis. So thank you, Susan. Susan wants to thank the Brewster Central School District, but we want to thank Susan for her incredible work. And she is the best that I've ever worked with. So Susan, congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Banlow, and thank you to the board for the pleasure of letting me speak on behalf of the following retirees at JFK. First, I'd like to speak about Fran Lang. Now, Fran has been in education 40 years. 34 of those years have all been at JFK. And she's not sure what she's going to do in the next chapter of her life. She'll figure that out as it goes. She looks forward to spending more time with her family and friends. She's blessed to have both. More time will allow her to explore, and she's eager to see where the next leg of her journey will take her. Fran has also been a long-standing liaison, cooperating with the JFK PTA and putting on many events for our children in the evenings, dances, socials, and so on, and a lot of literary activities. When asked about a fond memory of two working in Brewster, she replied, "I have so many." So there were deeply inspiring opportunities that include traveling to Australia with her colleagues to learn, collaborating with parents and families who supported countless plays, projects, enrichment activities for our young learners, and publishing a book showcasing our students' achievement and their creativity. Stellar memories include each and every, what she calls, small moments spent with her students, their families, our volunteers, and her colleagues. Each has enriched Fran's life. Fran is eternally grateful for the goodness and countless acts of kindness the Brewster community has sent her way. Next, we have Lynn Olsen. Lynn is in her 24th year here in Brewster, and she's taught 2nd grade to 4th grade. Prior to education, Lynn worked in media. Lynn meets the needs of her children on an emotional level, lifts them up to new heights of understanding. Lynn is the voice and advocate for her students, always putting them first. She acts as an advisor as she empowers her students to take the lead and launches projects they assume responsibility for. And many of you will remember she's presented at the board with 2nd graders who did wonderful PowerPoint presentations about their work in the Kindness Rocks. Lynn loves all things literary. She loves to write. She loves to teach. She loves to learn, and she's the best kind of teacher because she is and always will be a student. In Lynn's words, my students have a lot to say. This approach is what makes Lynn so loved by all of her students. Lynn shares her love of literacy with her fellow teachers. She's an instructor, workshop leader, speaker both statewide and internationally. She's been a key instructor in the Hudson Valley Writing Project since 2009. In her retirement, Lynn will continue to write and share her wisdom. As her colleagues state, it's been a jar of wonderful to teach with you. And finally, we have Lorna Rubin. Lorna's first job out of college was with a publishing company, Dial Press, and that's where she learned the love of children's literature. She's been in Brewster 26 years. Just after she finished the certification requirements, a job opened up in Brewster. Lorna then interviewed on a snowy day in January and received a phone call from Natalie McKenna, the principal of JFK at the time. And later that afternoon, she was offered the position. It was the first time Lorna drove in the snow, and I'm sure she's grateful for that drive. After retirement, Lorna plans to focus on her art and traveling throughout the United States and Europe with her husband. Several memories from teaching in Brewster. Lorna ran a reading program called the Teddy Bear Book Club with an incentive program, and she obtained a beautifully signed letter from President Bill Clinton. Lorna made copies on fine paper and distributed to the students when they reached that milestone. Lorna learned recently the candle breath technique from a mindfulness workshop that she took here in Brewster and began using it at the beginning of all her lessons. Because of this, a kindergarten student raised her hand one day and said, "I can use the candle breath before my swimming lessons, and now I'm not afraid." Although she never expected to end her career teaching in Brewster via Google Classroom, Lorna wants everybody to know she's learned how to navigate the digital environment. And lastly, we would like to thank the Brewster community for their support of the JFK renovation project, because Lorna loves teaching in Brewster, and her last 3 years were spent in a beautiful state-of-the-art media center that is illuminated with daylight and spacious design that offers our students comfort and access to a collection of materials that will enhance their studies. As she says, it's a comfortable place for students that will instill the love of reading, whether it's from a book, smartboard, computer, and they'll do this for a lifetime. So thank you on behalf of the retirees.
Thank you, Dr. Zamperlin. It is a pleasure tonight to talk about two of CV Star's retirees. Our first one is Mrs. Dawn Flaz, who is retiring as a 5th grade teacher from CV Star. Dawn began her teaching career in Brewster in September of 1992. She taught at Garden Street School for 17 years and at CV Star for 8 years. Fun fact about Dawn is that the incoming Brewster High School class of 2021, Dawn taught them in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade as a looping teacher. And she also attended their 8th grade ceremony and would reconnect with them at Red Rooster. She has been a Brewster resident for over 30 years, and her 2 children, Emily and Alex, attended Brewster schools and graduated from the high school as well. Dawn is Brewster through and through. She loves her summers at her poolside and boating on the lake, as well as a trip to LBI every summer. Dawn and her family are looking forward to many things, but the one with the most anticipation is the marriage of her son, Alex, which they're looking forward to as soon as more things reopen as we recover from COVID. Our second retiree is Mrs. Carrie Oster, who is retiring as a speech therapist at CV Star. Carrie began her career here in Brewster in September of 1997, and she was part of the opening team when CV Star opened its doors in January of 1998. She is a founding member of CV Star. She and her husband Cliff have been Brewster residents for 37 years, and their 3 daughters, Karen, Suzanne, and Megan, are all Brewster High School graduates. In addition to her work within the school, Carrie also founded the Kelly Oster School of Irish Dance, which so many of our Brewster children have attended over the years, as well as children from all the surrounding areas. And they all learned the beauty of Irish step dance, as well as this great cultural tradition. Carrie has serviced students in private practice in speech and language and plans to continue that in her retirement. She's also looking forward to enjoying more time to travel, particularly to visit with her daughters, son-in-law, and 4 granddaughters who recently relocated to Tennessee. On behalf of myself and the staff at CV Star, we wish Carrie and Dawn the best of luck, and we thank them for their time and service to the students and families of Brewster.
Hey, Mrs. Hernandez?
Okay, good evening. And again, on behalf of Principal Clark and I, we'd like to congratulate the following retirees. Talk about longevity. This group really is the epitome of many years of service to the Brewster Schools community. Congrats to Daria, who is retiring after 31 years of service. She is a health and physical education teacher. Daria has taught adapted phys ed as well. And being part of the Wells family, she says the great thing about that is once you're part of the family, you're always part of the family. She has coached tennis and taught CPR. She takes that very seriously, often saying, you know, this is a life skill, this is a way to save people. She was very passionate about teaching our children CPR. Daria was also an active Brewster booster, often in the stands at all the girls' basketball games, cheering on our girls. Daria and her wife Lori will be working with their dog Bria. They have plans for their dog to become a service dog. Daria would like to remind everyone to take a deep breath and just ask for help. She truly appreciates all of her colleagues and all the people in Brewster. And Daria, we thank you for your service. We will miss you and your dance moves. Anyone who's ever been to a previous retirement party or any function that involved dancing, Daria may go down as having the best moves in the district. Congrats to Daria Pascali. Mr. Keith Kepner, our math extraordinaire teacher, he's retiring after 30 years of service. Congratulations to Keith. Someone once said he'd never make it past 6th grade math. So he not only proved them wrong, he teaches all 6th graders. They were entirely wrong. So Keith leaves Brewster to spend more time with his family, Karen, Caitlin, Kyle, and Coda. He will miss the people and the family atmosphere at Wells. He and Tom Nelligan were like the famous Twin Towers in that 6th grade hallway, high-fiving students, helping them open their lockers, you know, really making really adding to the school culture. Keith is known for squirting water, you know, all kinds of goofy, fun stuff with the kids, having chair races in the hallways. I probably shouldn't be saying this on a community forum, but it was all in good fun. Keith was always seen with a Mountain Dew in his hand and a smile on his face. I don't think we'll ever look at Mountain Dew the same. And, you know, he commented that he's looking forward to relaxing, taking it easy, noting that he was built for comfort, not for speed. And we will miss you. Thank you for your service, Keith, and enjoy your retirement. Congratulations. Mr. Scott Steele, who has been our STEAM teacher. He's retiring after 20 years of service to our students. Scott has spent his career in Brewster teaching and specifically teaching students how to think outside the box. His classes were always centered around problem solving and creativity, thoughtful dialogue, and Socratic seminars. Scott consistently used life skills such as music and math or gardening to teach content. He is passionate especially about promoting academic freedom. Scott looks forward to publishing another book and to composing and performing music. He also looks forward to spending time with his daughter, Mika. Scott recalled one experience where he brought a group of 8th graders to Washington, D.C. to attend a conference with Peter Senge, and one of his students was recognized as being the highlight of the conference after bringing down the house. Scott, thank you for your service, and we will miss your outside of the box thinking. Janice Driscoll, our 7th grade living environment teacher, retiring after 19 years of service in the district. And this is Janice's 2nd career, leaving the medical profession. She's enjoyed her time teaching living environment. She has served on our building level wellness team, specifically working with 7th grade students to facilitate a sleep study survey, followed by helping students learn more about healthy sleep hygiene and overall health. So we're going to miss that. She was definitely spearheading all of the wellness work for our building. Janice will miss her colleagues, especially her teammates in the science department. She looks forward to spending time with her family, especially her grandchildren. What Janice will remember the most about Wells is how the staff's always been there to support each other. And we all love the family feel at Wells. Janice, we will miss you. Thank you for your service and enjoy your retirement. Mrs. Ellen Quinn, who's our, definitely our hero after this global pandemic that we all faced together. She's retiring after 25 years of service. And, one thing about Ellen, she loves to fly under the radar, but tonight we've got to celebrate you. Okay, not only has Ellen been taking care of the medical needs of students for the past 25 years, she's also a parent of 5 children, Con, Pete, Quinn, Elle, and Claire. She will miss caring for the students and her colleagues, especially her partner, Erin Hecht. Her plan for retirement is to trust in God's will and wisdom and enjoy her family. One story that Ellen loves to share is that when students arrive to the nurse's office coming from Mr. Patusik's class, she often shares with the kids that she herself used to take care of Mr. Patusik when he was young. And the kids really enjoy that. Ellen, thank you for your true goodness and compassion and humility. Thank you especially for joining all of the Washington, D.C. trips to care for and administer medication to our students over the years. Having Ellen there was a tremendous relief, not just to us in the building, to parents and chaperones. Ellen, thank you for your service. We will miss you, and you are one of our great heroes. Thank you, and congratulations.
All right, how's that mic working, Mrs. Horler? Better yet? No? Okay. All right, I'll take on the high school retirees as well, happily. All right, first, Mrs. Amuso, English teacher, usually teaches seniors, and Mrs. Amuso is highly regarded amongst her students and usually is noted as one of the favorites of students as they leave. Actually, she was quoted in one of the students' graduation speeches. She's been just so influential for so many years for both her students and her colleagues. Cynthia has come to teaching in a second career, but her love of the English language and of literature propelled her into teaching. She plans during retirement to be more present with her family and her husband and her 2 girls. Cynthia will miss most her work with her colleagues and engaging in critical thought. And some advice for new educators. By the way, this is brilliant, Mrs. Horler. I'm capturing this and sharing it with the new educators as they come in September. It's important to form relationships with your students. Never forget that what we see is only a part of the whole kid. And conversely, they only know one side of you. Let them in a little bit. wonderful advice. So congratulations, Mrs. Amuso. We'll certainly miss you. On to Mrs. Bruin, Spanish teacher at Brewster High School. She came to us in 1997. So when you think of Rose, I mean, she is all heart, a complete students first educator. Upon retirement, she plans to spend more time with her husband and her children. She will miss the relationships with her students. She has always been guided by the advice of her father. When you're dealing with your students, you should always use your head and your heart. So Rose, we will certainly miss those aspects of you. You always give such thoughtful insight and encouragement to your colleagues. And we wish you the best of luck in retirement. On to Mrs. Holic, who is a class act in an institution at the high school. This is great. She was hired in 1983, the same year she graduated from college. Mrs. Holic, besides being a stellar instructor in the classroom, she has expanded her reach and worked with various student groups. She does a lot of work with Mu Alpha Theta, the Math Honor Society, in the Mathathon and raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And she really, it's about more than raising the money with her. It's about the lessons that she imparts to her students about, civic responsibility and giving back. She'll miss her banter with and laughing with her colleagues and her students. She plans to travel often, redecorate, garden, and spend time with her family at her beach house. So congratulations, Dee. We'll certainly miss you. On to Mr. Vig, Mr. Vigalucci, affectionately known as Mr. Vig. Mr. Vig started in Brewster in 2006. He is probably best known for his work with the marching band and what he was able to do. He led some groups in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, as well as took our marching band for the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Dublin. George will miss working with his students, especially his work in the wind ensemble and jazz band. George plans to work around the house and practice his trumpet. George was one of the group of educators that traveled to China in 2007 and helped really with that cultural exchange. And I'll always remember his, you talk about adaptability and just collegiality and someone who's an all-around great guy. We'll miss you, George, and we wish you the best of luck.
Okay, so congratulations to all of our staff earning tenure this evening and all of our retirees. Even though we're not in person, we wish we could be in person with all of you right now, but we hope that you feel the love and respect and well wishes from all of us. So big congratulations. Thank you.
I wanna, if you wanna applause and stand up, and it's, it's tough in this scenario that we can't do that. I mean, yeah, we can all do our best, but yes, it's definitely, we're all very proud of the years and the time that, and the commitment that everyone put into this district and working with the students that crossed your paths, over all the years that you were here. And, you make a difference. Everyone that works here, everyone that works with children, you make a difference, and you never know when that difference is made. So we're just your time and your commitment while you were here, and wish you the best going forward. So thank you. Okay. We move on now to public remarks. As they relate to anything on the agenda specific to action items, and no emails came in specific to any action items for this agenda. I'm just double checking. Other emails came in, but not related to the action items, so I'll cover those later. So we can just move on now to action item number 1, which is the approval of resolution for tenure appointments. And I know that the presentation was made. Is there anything else, Dr. Banlow, that you'd like to add, or should we?
No, we can go right into Dr. Harrington with the action item number 1, if that's okay with you.
Okay, sure. So this resolution drafted by our council reflects the formal recommendation and recognition of tenure for individuals completing their probationary periods. Tenure recommendations require adherence to Ed Law 3012D, which details the necessary evaluation criteria under a teacher or administrator's annual professional performance review, or APPR. Again, this resolution has been drafted by our district council and reflects this minimum criteria necessary for approval to formally grant tenure to the individuals we have just shared with you. On behalf of the principals and the superintendent of schools, Dr. Lori Banlow, we certainly humbly and emphatically present this resolution for your approval this evening.
Okay, great. Thank you. I need a motion, please, for this item.
Make the motion, Sonia. It's Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie. I need a second.
Eric,
This is Glenn.
Eric, you got there first. I'll take Eric.
Knock
Okay,
right
thank you. It's a close call. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'd say
No?
congratulations to all the tonight. Thank you for your work.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go to the vote then. On this action item, Carrie Cunningham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner,
Yes.
Glenn Niles,
Yes.
Scott Seaman,
Yes.
and myself, Sonia Masika, yes. Motion passes 5-0. So we can officially congratulate all those who were up for tenure. And again, I wish we could stand up and do a round of applause. Thank you for everything you've done and that you're going to continue to do in our district. Okay, we will move on now to action item number 2, approval of adjustments to year-end fund balance reserves.
Yeah, so this is an annual resolution where our finance committee meets in early June to recommend fund balance and, reserve balances for year end. So I attached the minutes to our finance committee meeting, which are also available on our website, and the committee is recommending the following adjustments to reserve balances.
Okay, great, thank you. I need a motion for this item, please.
This is Glenn. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Glenn, and a second.
This is Scott. I'll make the second.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Victor, this is to fund as much as we can, like all the different reserve funds, because we know next year is going to be a quiet item. So we're putting as much as we can into the proper accounts. Right?
Yes, as discussed at our finance committee meeting, emphasis on the TRS reserve and the ERS reserve in anticipation of significant pension cost increases in the coming year.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we can go to the vote. Action item number 2, Carrie Cunningham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner,
Yes.
Glenn Niles,
Yes.
Scott Seaman,
Yes.
and myself, Sonia Masika, yes. With no objections, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Action item number 3, approval of tax refunds and budget amendment numbers 6 and 7.
Yes, this is a large tax cert payout for the Centennial Golf Course property, which we have a reserve set up for, a tax cert reserve. This is, again, a larger tax refund. And I just also want to note, just going back to the last item, there are very few outstanding assessment change requests. So that led us to lower our tax cert reserve in the coming year. Again, acknowledgement to Lori Bell in town of Southeast for all that she does in settling these at the the least cost to the municipalities.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for this item, please.
I'll make the motion. It's Carrie.
Thank you, and a second.
Eric makes a second.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, we go to the vote. How do you vote, Carrie Cunningham?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner,
Yes.
Glenn Niles,
Yes.
Scott Seaman,
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes. No objections, motion passes 5-0. Okay, thank you. Action item number 4, approval of budget amendment and transfer to school lunch fund.
Yeah, so because of the extended closure, the school lunch fund obviously has not received revenues from meal sales or a la carte sales, which typically make up the majority of school lunch fund revenues. However, we've continued our staff on payroll in agreement with the CARES Act, as well as the agreement with the SEIU unit. And as a result, the school lunch fund would incur a deficit for the year. Rather than have the school lunch fund incur a deficit, the general fund with its surplus is able to make the school lunch fund whole. And we're recommending a transfer to the school lunch fund so that they're held harmless throughout this process.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for this action item.
This is Glenn. I'll make the motion.
Thank you. And a second.
This is Scott. I'll make the second.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
And this was also the lunch group also actively worked every week to make sure over 600 families got meals every week as long as we've been closed.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we go to the vote. On this action item, how do you vote? Carrie Cunningham?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman?
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes. No objections, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Action item number 5, approval of 2019-20 health services contracts.
Yes, this is another annual item. Each year we are required to pay public schools for health services provided to Brewster students attending non-public schools in their district. So for example, we have a number of students who attend St. James, and in turn we pay Carmel Central School District for administering health services to Brewster students on our behalf.
Great, thank you. I need a motion for this item.
Carrie, I'll make the motion.
Thank you, and a second.
This is Eric. I'll second.
Okay, questions or comments from the board?
So,
Victor, are these amounts set by the state, the reimbursement rates?
The rate, there's a formula set by the state, but the rates vary between school districts depending on the the individual salaries of the employees charged.
Victor, do we have, do we also take in students from outside districts, and therefore kind of some of these is sort of a wash as far as numbers of students?
Well, we don't anymore. Our last non-public school, St. Lawrence, after they shut down, there are no other non-public schools within the Brewster School District.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, we go to the vote. On this action item, how do you vote? Carrie Cunningham?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman?
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes. With no objections, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. We move on to action item number 6, approval of paid lunch equity change in meal price exemption.
Yeah, so each year we're required to perform a calculation to determine whether or not meal prices need to increase for the following year. It's a requirement from the federal government in participating in the free and reduced lunch program. However, given the coronavirus, we applied for an exemption and we were granted that exemption. So meal prices will remain the same in 2021 as they were in 1920.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for this item, please.
This is Glenn. I'll make the motion.
Thank you. And a second.
This is Scott. I'll make the second.
Thank you. Questions or comments on this item from the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to the vote. Carrie Cunningham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman,
Yes.
and myself, Sonia Masika, yes. With no objections, the motion passes 5-0. Okay, we move on to action item number 7, approval of 2020-2021 initial service contracts, A, Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES, and B, Lower Hudson Regional Information Center.
Yes, again, so these are annual contracts that we enter into with Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES, and the Lower Hudson Regional Information Center is basically our tech support through Southern Westchester BOCES. The initial service contract affords the BOCES to adequately staff their programs in anticipation of our participation. However, throughout the year, as you're aware, other COSERs come up from time to time. But again, the purpose of the initial service contract is to give BOCES really a heads up of our desire to participate in their programs.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for this item, please.
Carrie, I'll make the motion.
Thank you, and a second.
This is Eric, I'll second.
Okay, questions or comments from the board?
Victor, how come we don't do this at the reorg meeting in July?
We could do it at the reorg. I had it available, so I put it on the June meeting. Just a matter of timing.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you. I see you nodding, Eric. Anyone else, questions or comments? None? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to the vote. On this action item, Carrie Cunningham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman?
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes, with no objections. The motion passes 5-0. And we move on to action item number 8, approval of resolution abolishing 4 teaching assistant positions.
Yes, thank you. So this resolution abolishes the 4 teaching assistant positions that have been created in October to address the increased class size in kindergarten and first grade at JFK. Certainly with the passage of the budget, the district's able to add an additional teacher to accommodate our increased enrollment. And as the board's aware, these 4 TA positions were subject to abolition for the 2020-2021 school year, and were not included in the budget adoption. The resolution's been drafted by our district council and is subject for your approval this evening.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for this item, please.
This is Glenn. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, and a second.
This is Scott. I'll make the second.
Thank you, guys. Questions or comments from the board?
I know, so there was discussion with all 4 TAs. They understood going in, going out that this is a possibility, and they understand the whole process and all.
There was ongoing communication that happened over the course of the year, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, we go to the vote. On this action item, how do you vote, Carrie Cunningham?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman?
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes. With no objections, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. We move on to action item number 9, approval of 1-year contract extensions for non-union personnel.
Yes, thank you. So certainly while the district maintains healthy labor relations with its 5 bargaining units, the 19 employees in this action item are outside of a bargaining unit and on individual contracts. The individuals noted in this action item are subject to a contractual rollover under their present existing provisions in their contract. Such provisions include vacation and sick days and percentage of their healthcare premium. Approval of this action item maintains their existing provisions for an additional year under the same terms and conditions. It's just a reminder to the board, these contracts do not stipulate any annual salary increase. Approval of this action item simply maintains each individual's existing contract for an additional year and has been signed by both the employee and the superintendent of schools, Dr. Lori Bambo. It's subject for your approval this evening.
Great, thank you. I need a motion for this action item.
Carrie, I'll make the motion.
Thank you, and a second.
This is Eric. I'll make the second.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, we'll go to the vote on this action item. How do you vote? Carrie Cunningham?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman?
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes. With no objections, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. And action item number 10, approval of 3-year terms and conditions for noted non-union positions.
Okay, so this action item allows for the noted positions which exist outside of a bargaining unit really to be further streamlined with those employees within a bargaining unit, most notably percentage into one's healthcare premium and longevity. These terms and conditions, which have been reviewed by our district council, do not stipulate annual salary advances, only terms and conditions of employment. Individuals appointed to the positions noted in this action item will be subject to the provisions noted in the respective terms and conditions that are presented for your approval this evening.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for this action item, please.
This is Glenn. I'll make the motion.
And a second.
This is Scott. I'll make the second.
Thank you so much. Questions or comments from the board on this action item?
One quick question. With previous ones were 1-year extensions, these are 3-year extensions. Is that something to stick within the standard, I guess, organization of the job type? Is that why some will get 1, some will get 3?
So it's been common practice that individual contracts have been for 3 years under terms and conditions. With certain employees outside of a bargaining unit, it made more sense to do a 1-year rollover in instances where there was an opportunity to further streamline provisions to better be able to really operationalize benefits like vacation and longevity. We did that with those positions. So this action item reflects that.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, we go to the vote. On this action item, how do you vote? Carrie Cunningham?
Yes.
Thank you. Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman?
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes. With no objections, the motion passes 5-0. Okay, we move on to action item number 11, approval of policies, first read, revised 1510, public participation at board meetings.
Yes, thank you. We submit this policy to the board for your first read approval. The intent behind revisiting this policy was to make the process for speaking at board meetings more clearly articulated to members of the community. So what this proposed restructuring does, moves around some of the content, makes the process more accessible, and is more reflective of our procedures. Mrs. Masika, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to this as well, given that you were part of the policy committee process.
Thank you. No, that was perfectly stated. We felt that the way it was presented, because I know we had normally when we're in person, we attach them to the agenda so people can see, whoever comes and they're present, they can see what they need to do. But it was just very wordy and not very easy to read. And so as Dr. Gosh pointed out, I think it reads a little easier now, so you can just go to some bullet points and kind of get the most important pieces to help people be the most productive they can when they come to a board meeting, which hopefully we can do one day soon. But for right now, we are where we are. But so yes, thank you. Okay, so for this action item, I need a motion, please.
I'll make the motion as Carrie.
And a second.
Eric makes the second.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board on this action item? Okay, hearing none, we go to the vote on this action item. How do you vote? Carrie Cunningham?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman?
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes. With no objections, the motion passes 5-0. Okay, we move on to the consent agenda.
Okay, just very quickly, the board will note on this evening's consent agenda, we welcome Ms. Ann Gracia to our district and specifically to Wells Middle School to replace the vacancy left from Melissa Ferrara's promotion to confidential secretary for Dr. Gosh. Ms. Hernandez was impressed with Ms. Gracia's knowledge and experience And I understand that Mr. Clark is excited to have her immediately jump in to help support the summer work and assisting with the construction of a still somewhat uncertain schedule for next school year. She certainly will be working closely with Ms. Hernandez, Mr. Clark, and Ms. Cormier. So we welcome her to the district. And we would also just like to recognize and congratulate Ms. Susan Cohen, who will be retiring at the end of this school year. And we certainly look forward to celebrating her service to the district during the upcoming school year.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion for this item, please.
This is Glenn. I'll make the motion.
Thank you. And a second.
This is Scott. I'll make the second.
Thank you. Questions or comments on the consent agenda from the board?
Quick question. Professional development summer workshops. These are people that have scheduled workshops and they'll be attending them over the summer, and it's just like a pre-approval process?
Michelle, you want to take that?
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Seaman, I believe those are new educators that start formally in September. However, we might need them to come in over the summer for certain professional development workshops. And so it's part of our process to make sure that they are approved for summer work since they officially, in a separate item, since they officially do not begin with us until September.
Thank you. And the summer appointments in regards to food service helpers, that's to continue the food service program throughout the summer?
Correct. Exactly that.
Perfect.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, we go to the vote on this item. How do you vote? Carrie Cunningham?
Yes.
Eric Gretzner?
Yes.
Glenn Niles?
Yes.
Scott Seaman?
Yes.
And myself, Sonia Masika, yes. With no objections, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Okay, we now move on to remarks. Public remarks would be first up. So I'll just go over some of the emails that came in over the past 2 weeks. There were many thanks for graduation from both students and parents alike. And there were also a few questions and requests and comments of interest regarding the open seat currently on the board, and which I'll address shortly. And there were some emails regarding concerns and just questions for our community moving forward and what we'll be doing. And with that, we have the forum that's coming up on Thursday and Saturday, and then a letter went out to the community as well, talking about different equity trainings and things we'll be doing in the district. And there will be more work that will continue with that. And there was a question regarding COVID and should there be, vaccine one day in the future and what that would look like for schools. And schools are, obligated to follow New York State law with certain things. So when that day comes, we will address that issue in real time as to what's going on at that time. And there were also emails with requests to appoint Mr. Niles, people supporting him for taking the seat. And that was kind of, so that's the general overview of emails that came in. And if everyone's okay, maybe I'll start off for board remarks in discussing the seat that is vacant on the board right now. So we were in executive session earlier this evening, and as the community knows, executive session is a confidential discussion that we can enter into for certain reasons under law. And generally the discussions of that stay in that session. But it was for potential appointment for the board trustee position. And I can share a little bit of what we discussed at with Glenn's approval, and he offered his approval earlier. So the board, so first let me cover, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back a little and just cover, the board was shared, you know, the attorney shared with the board our options. And in brief, there are generally 3 options for a board. And one would be to appoint someone at our own discretion. So we decide on what that process looks like. We can appoint someone outright. We can set up a process with our own timeline. It could be interviews. It could be however we deem appropriate for the position. And if we were to do something like that now, they would take the time, they would fill the seat up until the next election, next May 2021, at which point someone would have to run to fill the final year of that seat. Because there's a two years left on what was Ms. Berardi's seat. And the second option would be to have a special election. It would need to be done within 90 days from June 13th, so it puts us at a September date. Some of the, you know, questions and concerns around special election have to do with what does that look like in the time of COVID and social distancing and the cost to the district. And as everyone in the community knows, that was a very costly affair to put forth the election to begin with that we had to do in the context we currently had to do it in. So the question of whether to do that again remains. And the third option would be to not fill the position until the next election, and which would be next May 2021, at which time the someone could run officially at that time. Next election, there will be 3 seats open. So it would essentially be a 4th seat for a 1-year term to finish off the term. With these options, the board needs to engage in a public discussion on how we would like to go forward. So we decided we would have within the next week, hopefully we're going to pick a work session date. So that is a meeting where the board can have a discussion. The public can observe that discussion. They can't comment during that meeting, but at least they can watch us deliberate and decide on how we decide on how we're going to go forward. Being that we only spoke to the attorneys today, we will have a work session in the next week or so to finalize how we're going to decide to go forward, and we'll break that all down in more detail at that work session. And okay, so those are the options. And so in executive session, the board did discuss, and again, this is with Mr. Niles's permission, to offer Mr. Niles to take Ms. Berardi's seat for the next year and then potentially run in the next election to finish off the 2nd year that's remaining on the term. And we offered him the opportunity to fill that position, and Mr. Niles respectfully declined. But he would like to, I believe, Glenn, you did say you wanted to be able to respond on your own behalf so the community can hear from you, your thoughts. So if you'd like, I could give you this time right now to do that.
Sure. So thank you. I just put together a real quick document.
Oh, wait, Glenn, we can't hear you. Did you mute yourself? There you go.
I think I did. I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. I would like to respond. I just wanted to read a quick document I put together as I depart from the board. And I just wanted to share my experience. So I'm just going to read it real quick to you guys. It was 3 years ago, I made the decision to step up and become a Board of Education trustee for the Brewster community. It has been an amazing experience and a wonderful opportunity to be part of the decision-making team that helps shape and mold the educational lives of the children in Brewster. I've dedicated my time while having a full-time job, coaching 4 teams, and waking up at 4:30 a.m. during the week to train young athletes at the local gym. I know what you're thinking. How does he find the time? Simple. When your heart is in it for all the right reasons, it's not looked upon as work, but rather as enjoyment. At this time, I would like to thank my fellow trustees that I served with in my 3 years, as well as the current and previous administrative team. A special thank you to you, Sonia, for your guidance and leadership as our board president. On Wednesday, June 17, 2020, the Brewster community spoke loud and clear, and it will be the day that I will remember. As a community, we have a lot of work ahead of us as it relates to diversity, racial inequalities, and equity. I feel it's the biggest challenge that will prevent this community from moving forward. It must be addressed. How do we start having uncomfortable conversations? How do we support our students of color? What issues can we address that will bring immediate impact? The divide in this community may be difficult to mend, but with desire, commitment, and courageous dialogue, it is possible. Just look at the amazing students who were and continue to be empowered to take a stand against racism. That is inspiring. I implore the board and district leadership to support staff, students, and families by providing the necessary resources and tools that will allow us to bring about much needed, long overdue change. I feel wholeheartedly that we need to do better going forward. We owe it to our children, all of our children. My work is not done. The only difference is I will be speaking from a different platform. I will actively support the district's endeavor, as well as those in the community who want to discuss this sensitive matter of race. I hope the board will continue to listen to the voice of our child, of every child, and empower them to advocate for what is right. Thank you for your support and all those who voted for me. I will forever be grateful. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Sonia. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts with us and the community. And personally, I want to say I'm sad. I'm sad to see you go. And you absolutely, your time on this board, absolutely, you served wholeheartedly. And I want to acknowledge that. You always gave a fair and honest opinion, and it's just commendable. And I'm sad to see you go. I respect your decision, you know, and I appreciate the time you put in to run, to campaign, to sit through candidates night. That's not easy. It was 3 hours of questions, and just for all you do, and for all I know you're going to continue to do for this community. I know you love and respect, you know, those that you work with, and just the kids that you work with. And so for me, thank you. And I'm sorry to see you go. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia.
Yeah.
Sonia, may I say something?
Please.
Glenn, on behalf of the entire administrative team and everyone in the Brewster Central School District, we just want to thank you for your service to the community, and just to let you know how much we respect you, and we love the fact that you're going to continue to stay involved. So thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, Lori. Appreciate that.
I would just like to add that Glenn and I joined the board together 3 years ago, and I don't need to say that he served in an exemplary fashion, and I am going to miss him as a board member, but I'm glad that I can now call him my friend, and I have no doubt that you'll continue to make a great impact on the district. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Could I just jump in? Glenn, you know, I got to know you over the last 2 years, and the way that you've served this district has been, I've modeled some of my actions and motions on the way you have handled yourself, the way you participate, your perspective, and your opinions have always been just so on point. I really appreciate having had this time with you, and to get to know you, not just as a board trustee, but as a person. And I look forward to your contributions going forward. And thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that.
And I as well, I can't say enough about what you've done, and I appreciate everything. I remember all those years ago when we coached flag football together. Well, I don't say coached. Glenn coached. I wrangled the kids. I'm the cat herder. But I saw then that, you know, something big was coming, and it's still there. And I appreciate all you've done. So thank you.
No problem, Scott. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll I guess, move on to any other comments or remarks that the board would like to make this evening.
I would just like to say once more, as a board member and also as a parent of a graduating senior, that the district did an outstanding job on graduation. It really was a great day. The community turned out for the parade, which was fantastic. All the teachers and staff who helped all the cars get into the parking lot, and all the parents and graduates. There was just happiness and respect all around. The kids, our valedictorian, salutatorian, and other kids who gave speeches were just all excellent. And the board has received some emails, complimenting the district on that, but really the compliments go to Mrs. Horler and Mrs. Cole and Mr. Rodriguez, and to the graduation committee made up of teachers, staff, and parents. You all did a great job, and it's really appreciated. Thank you.
And I just, as having a senior as well, I just want to echo every bit of words that Kerry just shared. It was a phenomenal job. Those that approached me after the event was speechless. The committee, everybody that was involved, really a tremendous outpouring and great success. And we appreciate all the effort that everyone stepped up and put forward. Thank you for doing that.
I do have a couple of updates. I want to thank the community for the budget. A lot of effort was put into it. We appreciate all their dedication and know that we will do great things with this. On a side note, I wanted to offer an apology to everybody. We've all been a little crazy, and we might have said or done things we didn't mean or we didn't know about. So I would like to reach out to everybody personally and say, I'm sorry, because I was one of those hotheads about graduation, but it was truly a spectacular night. In fact, it was too good, because now my daughter, the junior, wants the same thing but better. So Victor, clear money in the budget, we have to figure out something, but we have to go through that. I wanted to also thank Jim Trelaw for what he went through at the last meeting we had. He was treated in a poor fashion, and we shouldn't do that. So personally, from myself to Mr. Trelaw, I apologize on how he was treated. So thank you. Related to that, I saw today the previous Regional 3 reopening schools task force. We had some representation from Brewster there. We had Mr. Trelaw and Dr. Kennedy. So Brewster is involved. They're getting the information. They know what's going on. And we did have a graduation committee follow-up meeting today. So I will beg your forgiveness, because I have a long list of people to thank. There will be official notices going out and other documents, but I wanted to, as soon as I could, get the names out first. I will apologize also in advance if I butcher anybody's name, and these are in no particular order. So please don't take offense where you are, or God forbid I leave you out. Like this, graduation committee would like to thank Superintendent Banlow, Principal Horler, Assistant Principal Cole, Assistant Principal Rodriguez, the Athletic Director Berardo, the Assistant Superintendents, both Dr. Gosh and Mr. Carlson. We would like to thank Sarah Barnes, John Castellano, Anne Marie Chalmers, because every school needs a mom, Denise Dougherty, Kathy Formasano, Antonio Franze, because I believe this is the first year that nobody complained about how their name was pronounced, which I've been to some other ones and that is quite an accomplishment. Jen Gary, Deputy Kresge, Ellen Lepere, Jenna Lynch, Tom Mullane, Andrea, Miss P, Andrea Padico, Donna Schneider, Austin Simmons, Patty Taylor, Mrs. Becker, Mrs. Catalano, Mrs. Cordino, Mr. Cunningham, Mrs. DeFabio, Mrs. Gussler, Ms. Kolar, Mrs. O'Rourke, Mrs. Racinko, Mrs. Rossi, our student representation on the committee, RJ Frankenberry and Aaron Lurin, Mike Campbell, Joe Beam, for War Entertainment. They actually put on the production. Putnam County Sheriff's Department, Brewster Central, all faculty and staff, the Brewster Education Foundation, of course, the class of 2020 and all the families, the Brewster High School PTSA, Putnam Lake Fire Department with Chief Greg Gagliardo, Assistant Chief Mike Carney, the Brewster Fire Department with Chief Mike Bizzaro, the Star Foundation, the senior class committee. They did advance money, which not only paid for the graduation signs, but they made an incredible donation of around $10,000 where they bought gift cards from local community businesses and donated the cap. So they kept the money in the community, and they supported local businesses, and they supported local families, which is an incredible accomplishment. The Brewster Rotary with President Paul Placido, the Brewster Chamber of Commerce with Executive Director Rose Aglieco, Palmer Hardware. They were our connection, shall we say, for the green light bulbs. All green light bulbs flowed through Palmer Hardware. So it's nice to see, let's remember that when we shop at Palmer Hardware. Kohl's Department Store for letting us set up there. Related to that, management, the Covington Development, Dr. Louis Corsaro and Frank Guglieri, which are both in regards to the safety of the whole event. Lars Olenis and the whole custodial staff, Glenn Fryer and the whole grounds and maintenance staff, Mary Smith and the whole transportation department, Jim Trelaw and the whole technology and innovation department, Pastor Ray Mellott from the Grace Community Church. The parade went right by and he set up beautiful signs. There was a DJ there. I remember it was a very beautiful piece of it. Island Photography, Extreme Designs with Carmel. They designed our bus banners and the lawn signs of the town of Southeast, specifically Town Clerk Michelle Stancati, Supervisor Tony Hay, and Councilman Eric Larka, and of course the rest of the board. The Village of Brewster, Mayor Schoenig and the whole board, the Town of Patterson, Supervisor Williams and the whole board, the Putnam County government, Supervisor Marianne Odell, Legislator Joseph Castellano and Legislator Paul Jonke, our New York State Senator, Peter Harcum, for his kind words at our graduation, everybody on the key communicators channel who received the information, and there's limitless people out there, and of course the community as a whole. You know, I drove out of that parking lot not expecting what I saw. You know, it was beautiful. You know, the love and the commitment that was shown, the kids felt it. You know, I don't think we have to worry about them anymore. We just have to worry about the next group because we've spoiled the previous one. And of course, everybody here as well. So thank you for letting me drone on. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I would like to add, can you hear me? It's okay. I would like to add one more thank you. Normally we would have, again, applause and standing ovations, but Ms. Gavin, it's your last meeting, I believe. Is this your last? You finished strong. It was a really tough year. So thank you. I don't know what we would have done without you. I genuinely don't. So I am so thankful for you. I'm sad to see you go. And I just wish you all the best. I don't know if you want to say anything. You're more than welcome, or you can just sit there and shake your head. No. Okay. Got it. Thumbs up. Okay. So just thank you. And yeah, so I don't know, when the final period goes on, this last sentence you write today, you'll probably feel a sense of relief. But just thank you for everything. So I wanted to add that as well. Okay, let's see what's next up on the agenda, unless someone else has anything they want to say still. No? Okay. So our next meeting will be in July. It's a reorganizational meeting, July 7th, I believe. And actually prior to that, we will send out a notice to the community about our work session to discuss filling the seat, or what direction we want to go in. And we'll make sure that that information gets out to the public when that will take place. Just a reminder, everyone, please come out to the forums that we have set up for this week. And any other questions, comments, remarks may be sent to the board and the superintendent at boe@brewsterschools.org. and we do need to adjourn to executive session. We will not be returning to take any action. We just need to finish up the school year with Dr. Banlow and do the final superintendent evaluation and have that discussion. So I just need a motion for that, please.
Sonia, it's Carrie.
Carrie, thank you. And I need a second.
This is Eric. I'll make the second.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, so I just need a vote to move into executive session. And Carrie Cunningham, how do you vote?
I think she's on mute.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Okay, thank you. Eric Gretzner,
Yes.
Len Niles,
Yes.
Scott Seaman,
Yes.
myself, Sonia Masika, 0 objections. Motion passes 5-0. We are off to executive session. And I just want to thank everyone again for attending today's meeting. Okay.